If you have a hard time sitting on the ground, you can start off with me on the chair or couch. Otherwise, you're sitting on the floor. If your hips are feeling pretty tight today, a nice option to relieve that is going to be to bring the bottoms of your feet together. That's going to make this position a little more comfortable to sit in. However, if possible, we're going to sit in this like crisscross applesauce type position. And you're going to grab that pillow I talked about because we're going to start off in a really restorative, comfortable position. And so, what I'd like you to do is to, if possible, bring your forehead to the pillow. Now, if that's not available to you today, that's just fine. But if it is available, it's just going to help you calm down a little bit. So, whenever we can gently stretch our hips, cave in kind of, and bring our forehead connection to something, all of those things help us calm down. So it just looks something like this. And you can even hug the pillow if you want, just like this. If you need a deeper stretch, you can stack your fists on the ground and bring your forehead to your fists. And for the sake of audio, I'm just going to hug my pillow without putting my forehead down so you can hear me a little better. So once you find a position that works for you today, I encourage you to close your eyes, relax your face and your jaw, and begin to focus on your breathing. So it's been an interesting week. It's been an interesting week to say the least. And it's totally normal to have really real feelings about everything that's been going on. And so the first thing I want to say is that throughout this practice, if you notice those feelings coming up, even to the point where you feel like you want to cry, that's okay. And in fact, that's good. So a lot of times our body holds emotions until we're ready to process them. And so a lot of times during yoga practices, it's not uncommon, especially when there's this intensity going on, this uncertainty. It is not uncommon to get to a place where you kind of release or you start to feel all those emotions, even to the point of crying. So I want to give you a full permission here to let those tears out if they come up. That's not weird. That's normal. Breathe deeply. Once again, jaws relaxed, faces relaxed. The other permission slip I want to give you to start this practice is one that I gave in the podcast episode that I released yesterday. And that is to shift your butts to and. So what I mean by that is we could be saying right now, like, things are crazy. So I shouldn't be like it's not appropriate for me to try to find peace. So things are, I'd like to find peace, but things are crazy. And whenever you notice those but type of thoughts coming up during this practice, shift them to an and. So you can say, yeah, things are crazy. And I'm going to take an hour here to cultivate a little peace and take care of myself. At this point, if you are sitting cross-legged, switch the crossing of your legs just to even things out. Find that same position again. Hugging the pillow if that feels good. Forehead to pillow connection. Deep breathing. Shoulders away from your ears. And as I mentioned in the podcast episode I just released, a lot of times the turmoil that we experience in the form of fear in the face of uncertainty is turmoil that is just between our ears. So I don't mean to undermine what's going on outside in the world. And take a breath right now and notice how you feel safe. and notice your health. And so just take a moment to acknowledge that any worry that bubbles up during this time is simply a thought. And as I said in the podcast episode, if it's just a thought, thoughts can be changed. On your next inhale, roll up. You can set the pillow aside from now. Extend your left leg out. Right leg is in like a figure 4 position. And we're going to begin to move with our breath. So flex your left toes. On an inhale, reach your right arm up. And on an exhale, reach over to the left. So you can be up on your palm like this or down on your forearm, whatever degree stretch you use, fine. Inhale up. Exhale, move to the other side. You can be looking up at the ceiling or down at the floor, whatever feels best. Inhale up. Exhale, reach. Belly button is pulling towards your spine. Continue to move like this with the rhythm of your own breath. And once again, this time on the mat is your opportunity not only to release some tension in your body, but also in your mind. And so, as I was saying before, this is your permission to let all feelings bubble up. There's no restrictions here. You can feel your feelings fully during this practice. And it's a great time to practice mindfulness and decoding. So as those feelings bubble up, once again, you're reminding yourself, because right now I'm physically safe, comfortable, and healthy. All I'm dealing with here is a thought. And thoughts can be changed. We're going to do one more on each side. This is just a thought, and thoughts can be changed. Once you've evened your sides out, come back to a neutral position. Strong core, sit up as tall as you can. Turn towards your extended leg, and then hinge forward. So instead of reaching your arms forward like this, notice how that pulls up your shoulders. Don't do that. Pull your elbows back so your shoulders can stay down, but hinge your body forward as far as it's willing to go. Deep breathing. And if you're noticing that your body is a bit tighter than you're used to, that is completely understandable. Once again, there's this big body-mind connection. And so when we are stressed, a lot of that is held within our body. So it's not going to be uncommon for a lot of us to feel a lot tighter in our hips, in our neck, and our shoulders during this time than maybe we're used to. Inhale, come up. Switch your legs. So right leg is extended out. Left leg is in that figure 4 position. At any point, if you need a knee bend, that's totally fine. Otherwise, you're extending out through your heel. And we're going to do that side stretch again. This time, inhale, extend your left arm up. Exhale, reach over to the right. Again, you decide if you want to use your palm or go all the way down to your forearm. Inhale, strong lift. Exhale, reach to the other side. And once again, you're noticing what you want to do with your gaze so that your neck can release. And you're moving with your breath. Inhale to move. Exhale to reach. Inhale, stay. Inhale to move. Exhale to reach. Belly button to your spine. And notice here the power of bringing your awareness back to your body and your breath. The cool thing about your body and your breath is they are always right here in the present moment. Our mind can go into the past and the future, but our body and breath are always just right here. So bringing your awareness at any point during this practice and at any point during your daily life back to your body and breath is a really quick way to ground yourself, to remind yourself of what I said before, that worry and fear often is not a result of what's actually going on around us in our physical presence, but what is going on between our ears. Let's do one more on each side. You decide how deep you'd like to go into this stretch. And then once you've evened your sides out, sit up as tall as you can, gently turn towards your extended leg, hinge forward. Notice your arms here. Remember, you're going to want to reach forward, but pull them back so elbows are under your shoulders. Shoulders can be heavy away from your ears. And you're hinging forward, straight like a board. Belly button's pulling back. Face is relaxed. Jaw is relaxed. Deep breath. Nice. On your next inhale, come up. And we're going to head up to a standing position on our mat and do another movement that's going to combine breathing and stretching and help us warm up our abdominal muscles. And that is scooping. So stand with a relatively wide stance so you feel like you have a nice strong base today. And actually, as I say that, that's another really powerful practice you can do just in your everyday life when you start to feel uncertain and stress. Just make sure you have a wide base. So even if you're just doing dishes or cutting veggies, giving yourself a wide base can help ground you and help you feel like you have a strong foundation. So with that said, you have a little wider base than normal today, little wider than hip width apart. On your next inhale, drop your right arm down, left arm up. So you're extending your arms in opposite directions. Exhale, hold. Inhale, switch, extend. Exhale, hold. Then bring your hands together, soft knees. On your next exhale, circle. You decide how big or small the circle is. Go the other direction. And if you get dizzy at all, just slow the circle down. Let's do that again. Right arm up, left arm down. Lengthen in opposite directions. Switch on your next breath. Belly button to your spine. On your next inhale, hands together, soft knees, strong core, circle. Exhale on the way down. Inhale on the way up. Other right. One more time through. Extend. Really plant your heels into the ground as you extend. Switch. Belly button to your spine. Beautiful. Hands together. Soft knees, circle. Feels great on the lower back, doesn't it? Other direction. Beautiful. Drop your arms down. Couple shoulder rolls here. If it feels okay, keep your stance relatively wide. And before we move forward, let's set an intention here. So bring your hands together. Thumbs come into your sternum so they're at heart center. Soft knees, strong posture. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. And if you have a specific intention, feel free to set that now. Otherwise, we're going to set together the general intention to shed layers of worry. Find baby steps or ounces or tiny little bits of relief with the intention of, at the end of this practice, cultivating a lot more peace. Take a deep breath. Then blink your eyes open and bring your feet even wider apart. Now we're going to move into a power series, starting with Warrior 2. So Warrior 2 is really all about honoring your strength and your focus and your clarity. And so this is a pose you might want to find often in the next couple weeks. Amidst everything else going around you, Warrior 2 can help you feel grounded and strong and clear. So with that said, bring your right foot so it's parallel with your mat. Parallel with the long edge of your mat. Left foot is parallel with the short edge of your mat. Then hinge your right knee over your right ankle. Now here's the deal. If you want a bigger strength challenge, move your feet further apart because you're going to be in a deeper lunge then. If you've liked a little less intensity tonight, move your feet closer together. So it's totally up to you. What you want to make sure you have here is knee over your ankle. Push through the pinky toe side of your back foot, then float your arms up so they're parallel with the ground. Really bright fingers here. Take up space with your hands. And then gaze out through your front middle finger, focusing your vision can often help focus your mind. Breathe deeply. And as we adjust all these little things in these power positions, what that's doing is helping increase presence. Once again, whenever we can bring our awareness back to our body and back to our breath, we're going to help ground our mind in the present moment instead of worrying about the future. Okay. And so, with all these little adjustments, know that you are serving your body, but you're also serving your mind. Now, at any point, if you need a break in these power poses, just straighten this front leg, drop your arms down. If you're looking for a challenge though tonight, you can stay in the lunge. And on your next exhale, you're going to reach back. So right arm by your right ear. So either you're here in reverse warrior where your knee is bent, or for less of a strength challenge, you're in reverse triangle with your right leg straight. That's totally up to you. And you can look down at the ground, up at the ceiling, whatever works best for your neck. Regardless, you're breathing deeply. You're noticing when thoughts come, like noticing when feelings arise. You're letting them be there, but then reminding yourself, okay, I'm physically safe. I'm physically healthy. So this is only a thought, and thoughts can be changed. Back to warrior 2. Feel your strength. Now, in this second version of warrior 2, what I really want you to focus on is pretend like you have a monkey tail. You're grabbing it here and pulling up. That's going to tilt your pelvis so that you're really strong in your core area and you're keeping your back safe, but that you're also really supporting yourself. So whenever we can feel like we're supporting ourselves from the inward out, that's really going to help not only with like physical health, but that also cultivates to a lot more confidence and a lot more comfort mentally as well. So once you've found that strong pelvic position, you're going to reach forward on an inhale. On an exhale, elbow to your knee, left arm up, side angle. Deep breath. You can stay like this, or for more intensity with side angle, you can drop your fingertips so they're grazing the ground, bicep by your ear. It's totally up to you. If you're up here, make sure your right shoulder is away from your ear. Chest is gently opening towards the sky. Beautiful. Strong core. On an next inhale, come back to warrior 2. Either stay in the lunge or straighten your front leg. Either way, reach back. Bicep by your ear. Deep breath. You're doing a great job. I know I can't see you, but just because you're here with me, that's wonderful. All right, come back, arms parallel with the ground. If you are in a bent leg position, straighten your front leg. And let's move into triangle pose. I'm going to bring my feet a little closer together for triangle today. Reach forward with triangle. And then on an exhale, tick-tock your arms like you're on a big clock. This front leg is straight now, but you don't want to lock your knee. So make sure the little micro bend here. See what your neck needs. Mine typically in this position likes to look, or it is released more if I look down at the ground. Gently open your chest towards the sky. Breathe deeply. Very nice. Now, to move out of this position, we're going to transition into side angle. So if you remember just a few minutes before we were in side angle, so that means right knee is over your right ankle, elbow comes up to your knee. Stay here for a sec. Strong core, belly button to your spine. Come up to warrior 2. Now feel your strength. So right fingers, look out through your front middle finger. Think of that monkey tail. So you're grabbing your monkey tail, you're pulling it up, so you're tapping your pelvis under, really giving your torso strong support. And then before we move out of warrior two on this side, glance down. Make sure you can see your right big toe so this knee is not caving in. It's staying strong. Every time we choose not to cave in and stay strong in our body, we are also helping our mind do that as well. Beautiful. Straighten your front leg, drop your arms. Turn your toes so they're going out at a 45-degree angle. And just for a second here, kind of loosen up, roll your shoulders. You can soften your knees a little bit. If you haven't already noticed, in this practice, we're doing a combination between wide stances and we're going to be doing a lot of stretches and things kind of like hugging in. So it's kind of a paradox here. So our wide stances are going to help renew our confidence, remind us of our strength, that invincible, unconditional strength that we all have, while at the same time honoring the vulnerability of this time and kind of caving in. So we're going to continue with these wide stances, doing some pliés. So with pliés, like I said, feet are at about a 45-degree angle. Start with your hands at heart center. On an inhale, bring your arms up, right fingers, and then on an exhale, squat down. Inhale, come up. Exhale, squat down. So remember that monkey tail we talked about just a few minutes ago in Warrior 2? We want to do that here as well. So you can continue going up and down. Otherwise, on this next one, you can stay down with me. And so that monkey tail is getting rid of the curve in your lower back. So that's going to place your the work that your body has to do in your legs instead of your back. So that's always good. If you need a break, just stand up. When you're ready, squat back down. Okay. And you can do a little movement here if it would feel good. Hands can be at heart center. The more you squat down, the more intense this one becomes. Similar to Warrior 2, notice how your knees want to cave in. Don't let it happen. Knees are kind of pulling out towards your pinky toes. So you're staying strong. You're staying grounded. Your breath is intact. Your face is relaxed. Beautiful. See if you can hang on for 5. Squat down a little more. 4. Breathe deeply. 3. 2. Shaking's okay. And 1. Stand up. Mostly done. A couple big shoulder rolls. You can kind of shake it out if you need to. And before we move to the other side, maybe just take a moment to notice how different right now your right side feels compared to your left. You did some good work there. We are going to do that same thing, same routine on the other side. So when you're ready for it, make sure your left foot is parallel with the long edge of your mat. Right foot is parallel with the short edge. Remember, you decide how long your stance is. When you're ready, left knee over your left ankle. Arms float up. Right fingers. We're taking up space with our fingers and with our body in this practice. You can see your left big toe. And once again, with each adjustment, acknowledge yourself for not just finding more functional positions for your body, but also being more present with your body, which is going to calm down your mind. Breathe deeply. Relax your jaw. Now you choose whether you want to keep your leg bent or straight. Either way, reach back, get a nice side body stretch here. Left bicep by your ear, looking up at the ceiling or down at the ground. Very nice. One more breath in this position. Come back to Warrior 2. Left knee is bent over your left ankle. Think of that monkey tail and give your body the support it's craving, that strong pelvic position that's going to protect your lower back. cultivate a lot of strength, mind and body. If you'd like to move into side angle, you're going to reach forward on your next inhale. On your exhale, elbow to your knee, right arm up. You've got space between your shoulder and your ear here. And then remember, if you would like a more advanced version of this, you can float your fingertips. Bring your bicep by your ear. Regardless, gently open your chest. Breathe deeply. Feel your strength. Before you move from this position, support yourself with your abdominal muscles. So pretend like you're zipping up a tight pair of jeans. Then use those muscles to come up. Warrior 2. Stay with your bent knee or straighten your front leg. Reach back. Get a nice side body stretch here. Breathe deeply. Bring your arms back parallel with the ground. Once again, I'm going to bring my feet a little closer together. We're moving into triangle pose. So you're going to straighten your front leg, in this case, your left leg. Inhale, reach forward. Exhale, tick-tock your arms. Make sure you've got a little micro bend here to work with in your front leg. Check in with your neck. Gently open your chest towards the sky. Breathe deeply into any areas of tension. Triangle is an uncomfortable pose for me typically, so if you're feeling the same way, you're certainly not alone. In most cases, that means you're doing it right, not wrong. One more strong breath here. Then to move out of this one, stay bend your left knee over your left ankle, elbow to your knee, come up to side angle pose. Strong core. Come back up to warrior 2 one last time. So really take some time to adjust here. So scan your body from your feet to the crown of your head. Make those big or small adjustments we've talked about. Notice your focus and your clarity. Looking out through your left middle finger. Honor your strength. Relax your face. Beautiful. Drop your arms and bring your feet out. We're going to do one more set of pliés. So once again, wide stance, feet are out at a 45-degree angle. Start with your hands at heart center. Inhale the prep, and then exhale, arms up and come down. I think maybe last time I did it the other way, but it doesn't matter. Arms can go up or down as you see fit. And remember, you have the option here with this one to move with your breath, as I'm doing now, or to hold down like this. You can add a little movement if you want, or you can just sit and hold. Big, most important thing is that you're keeping your back safe. So think about your back being touching a wall so that you're staying as straight as possible. And then think of that monkey tail. So you're getting your pelvis in the position that allows your back to be safe and strong. You decide how low you want to go with this one and whether or not you need some breaks. Once again, this is your opportunity to feel grounded, to feel strong. Yes, there is a lot going on in the world, and you have the right to cultivate peace, to honor your strength. Well done. Let's take one more breath here. And once you finish that breath, come up if you haven't already. Very nice. Toe wheel your feet together and shake it out a little bit. Couple big shoulder rolls. Very nice job. Let's do another round of scoops. So feet are a little bit wider than hip width apart. On your next inhale, extend your right arm up, right arm down, left arm up. Lengthen in opposite directions. Switch on your next breath. Inhale, hands together. Soft knees, exhale, circle. Belly button pulls back. Inhale on the way up. Exhale, circle the opposite direction. Good. Right arm up, left arm down. Lengthen. Switch. Hands together. Soft knees, circle. Reverse directions. Move with your breath. One more set. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, hold. Inhale, switch. Exhale, hold. Inhale, hands together. Soft knees. Exhale, circle. Inhale. And one final circle here. Good. Hands together. Bring them to heart center. Bright fingers. Thumbs touching your sternum. Soft knees, eyes closed, heart open. That just means chest pulling towards the sky, shoulders away from your ears. Relax your face and maybe even try just putting a little tiny slight smile on your face. Let's go back to that intention that was set at the beginning, to shed layers of worry, to find relief in whatever way we can, both physically and mentally, and to do our part to cultivate personal peace. And once again, remember, as you're here on the mat, safe and healthy, any worry that comes up is a beautiful opportunity to remind yourself, this is just a thought, and thoughts can be changed. Blink your eyes open. Bring your feet a little closer together now. We're going to move into our balance posture tree today. So let's start on the right side, meaning your right foot's going to be your right leg's going to be your grounded leg. So you're going to bring your body weight there, kick your left up, kickstand your left heel up. Make sure you've got really strong posture, soft knee, and all four corners of your feet are equally pressing into the ground. Arms can be up here if you need a little help balancing. The closer your hands come to your midline, the more intense this balance posture will be. Now see if you, focusing on your foot, okay? See if you can keep the balance of try and keep all four corners of your feet equally pressing into the ground. See if you can keep that while moving your foot up. Now, if you can't, that's totally fine. You can kick sand like this. But that's going to be the challenge here. You're really going to keep your focus on your grounded foot and see what you can do while maintaining the four corners of your feet equally pressing into the ground. The only place you don't want your foot to land is right on your knee joint. So make sure you're above or below. And if you do fall out and you fail that, like, just kidding. That's no big deal. Then just come back. Reground. So my point here is a lot of times we kind of like shut off during balance postures or a lot of postures in yoga. But most postures, if you're really paying attention to a few key things, can really be a great challenge and can strengthen things in ways that maybe if you aren't paying attention to those particular things, would be strengthened. So you might be feeling right now like your ankle getting a little tired, or the arches of your feet, or the arches of your foot, I should say. If that's what you're feeling, that's really good. That means you're doing this really well. So we're challenging our mind here by focusing really intently on something that we might not always focus on when balancing. So see what you can do. If you want a little extra challenge for this final few breaths, try closing your eyes. Once again, you're trying to maintain the balance of how you're displacing your balance. So in other words, you're trying to keep all four corners of your feet equally pressing into the ground. Beautiful. Drop both feet down. Very nice. Shake it out. Couple big shoulder rolls. What's great about that when you're balancing too is not only are you strengthening all those little muscles all the way up, but you're also strengthening your inner thighs. And then that's going to be more likely to, it's going to be more helpful to help you engage your abdominal muscles in a way that's really beneficial. So let's shift to the other side. Left leg is your grounded leg now. It's straight, but you've got a soft knee. Always a little micro bend in your knee. Kickstand your right heel up. Decide where you want your arms to be. And then bring your attention to your left foot, your grounded foot. And notice how your body weight kind of moves around your foot, and you're doing your best to keep it as balanced as possible. Of course, it's going to move, but your goal is to always kind of like correct it. That's why, as you probably felt on your right foot and ankle, how your muscles, all those tendons started to get really tired. That's because you're correcting. When you're focusing on keeping all four corners of your feet pushing in the ground equally, then you're using those muscles to correct, which is really beneficial. So remember, you have the option of moving your right foot up your leg if you'd like, but you don't want to move it so far up that you jeopardize or sacrifice that really functional grounding. So in other words, if you're noticing a roll to the pinky toe side of your rounded foot in order to be up here, then it's not worth it. You want to bring your foot down and then once again push through the big toe side of your foot. Breathe deeply. Strong core, relaxed face, heavy shoulders. Chest towards the sky. And then once again, for these final few breaths, if you want to try closing your eyes, feel free. Otherwise, it's going to be a little easier to keep your eyes open, gazing at something that's not moving. One more breath here. Beautiful. Drop your feet down, shake it out. Very nice. Bring your hands to heart center. Let's do a couple half vinyasas here. So on your next inhale, bring your arms up, high prayer. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, bring your hands to your shin and lengthen out so your body is parallel with the ground. Exhale, fold. Inhale, stand, high prayer. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Strong torso. Exhale, fold, bend your knees. Inhale, stand, high prayer. One more time through. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, stand. Exhale, hands to heart center. Close your eyes. Once again, right fingers, thumbs are pushing gently into your sternum. Soft knees. Strong posture. Relaxed face. Take a deep breath. Then blink your eyes open. From here, we're going to meet down on the mat. We're going to move into some stretching. So as I mentioned, my goal tonight was to do a combination of wide stance power poses with a lot of turning inward to kind of honor the fact that we have, as I talked about in that podcast episode I released yesterday, we have this invincible summer within, no matter what is going on outside of us. And it's also nice to honor the real feelings that are coming up and the vulnerability that's involved with that, and giving our body an opportunity to release some of those stored up energy or stored up emotions that usually land in our hips. So with that being said, we're going to do some hip opening here. So you might want to have your pillow handy. We're going to do double pigeon today. So to start this one, try bringing your right leg on top of your left. And notice here as I start that I have a really wide stance. So I'm making sort of a V with my thighs here. that might be a great place for you to start. And in that case, you're going to find really strong posture here. And then if you want to, you're grabbing that pillow again, doing that similar thing we did to start with. So forehead to pillow connection, if that's available, and you're kind of settling in. Now, if you're not feeling too much with this, then what I'm going to encourage you to do is start to make your angles more of like right angles. So, in other words, you're shooting your knees out right from your hips, and then there's a right angle here with your knees. So, the closer you get to more of like a rectangle, the more intense this one becomes. So, the more V like you are, the less intense the hip opening is going to be. The more rectangle you are, the more intense it's going to be. And it's just up to you and your body today what you need. So you take a little time to kind of feel into it. Regardless, you might want to gently flex your toes so you have a little engagement in your legs as you're doing this hip opening. So whenever we do stretches in yoga, we want to make sure that engagement is in place so that we're keeping ourselves safe as we stretch our comfort zone, so to speak, with the flexibility work that we do. So even if you're in this position, you might want to try the pillow thing. So with this hip opening, regardless if you're in like a V shape or more of a rectangle shape, you want to think about hinging forward as far as you can. And then once you kind of hit your limit hinging forward, then you can like let your body soften. And once again, I would encourage a forehead to pillow connection if that's available. I'm simply not doing that just so you can hear me speak a bit easier. Now, hip opening is really known for bubbling up some uncomfortable emotion. So if you're feeling sadness, anxiety, fear, frustration, that is very, very common. So honor those feelings simply by breathing deeply. And if you need to move out of the pose at any point, that's totally fine. And if you've done my classes before, you know that there is power in sitting a bit in discomfort. And just as a reminder, discomfort is not pain. So if you're feeling shooting pain, a grinding, or a cramping, then you're going to want to ease off. However, if you're feeling true discomfort, which shows up in pulling, aching, or burning, then it's usually wise to sit a little bit in it. Just get a little comfortable with the discomfort by bringing your attention to your breath. So true discomfort leads to a lot more comfort later. Okay. If it's pain, you need to ease off, but sitting with true discomfort, every breath you are letting yourself sit in this leads to just, I don't know, a big, more than a few breaths of comfort later. So it's worth it, is my point. But I know in stressful time periods, it's not just uncomfortable physically. A lot of times these postures are uncomfortable emotionally as well. And so this might be where, if you don't know why, but maybe you start tearing up a little bit or sobbing. That's fine too. Better out than in, I always say, better out than in. But you want to remind yourself here that as you are allowing yourself to physically release, you are also doing a great service for your mental health. Because you're practicing staying with your discomfort and alchemizing it instead of not either darting from it once you feel it or not dealing with it at all. So you're doing really, really good work here. If you're able to stay for 3 more breaths, I know it's longer than you want. I know. If you're able, then let's do those 3 breaths together. A long, slow inhale through your nose or your mouth. Long, slow exhale through your nose or your mouth. Shoulders away from your ears. Inhale, belly button is still strong. Exhale. One more time through. Very, very nice. Come up slowly using the strength of your downward muscles. Whew. Well done. Straighten your legs, shake them out a little bit. If your neck needs a little loosening up, you might want to do a couple half circles. Ooh, notice that relief. Awesome. We got the same thing on the other side, whether we like it or not. Here we go. So you're going to start in a V-shaped position. See what's going on with this side. Left leg is on top in case you need a reminder. Now, I encourage you not to make the assumption that you're going to look exactly the same on this side. There's, our hips kind of do different things. So, meaning sometimes your right hip's a lot tighter than our left, so on and so forth. So instead of assuming, really take this opportunity to check in. Like, what is your body telling you? What does it need today? We never have the intention with yoga just to get to a certain position. That's never, ever the intention. The intention is always, am I listening to my body and am I giving it what it needs? Am I finding that really great sweet spot where I'm challenging myself? There's a little bit of discomfort sometimes. So I know I'm, releasing tension, building strength, but at the same time, I'm not pushing myself to pain or anything like that. So if this is where you need to stay, that's great. Find your, position with your pillow or your forehead stacked on your fists. If you're able to go to a more of a rectangular type shape, you can do that now. Remember that gentle flex of your toes is going to be helpful, keeping a little bit of engagement in your legs as you are getting this really important and deep hip opening. Once you found, if you did move to the rectangular position, once you found the place you want to kind of settle in, then again, if you're able to find a forehead to pillow connection, that's great. Once again, I'm just going to not do that for audio sake here. But that position, forehead to head, is a very calming position. So think about here, as you're breathing deeply, as you're kind of settling into this comfort of this posture, remind yourself of some of the positions you have tonight felt really good in, or you have in the past. And write yourself a permission slip in your mind right now to find those positions at any point during the upcoming weeks. So who cares if you're not actually doing a yoga practice? If you get stressed out and you need to cry in child's pose, more power to you. You need to just suddenly do warrior two so you can remind yourself of your strength and your power. That's awesome. You have permission to use these postures to cultivate more peace and more empowerment in your life at any point. And it doesn't have to be at the standard time while you're doing a straight up yoga practice. It can be anytime you need to aid in your mental health. So remind yourself that during this time, physical health and mental health, they play off of one another and in any time, but you might really notice it more during this time. And you can use these things, and you can use postures in yoga almost like prescriptions to a certain extent, right? Feeling disempowered, well, do a couple wide stance plies. Feeling unfocused, try balancing the way we did tonight. Feeling really fearful and overwhelmed, try caving in the way we're doing now. Or if this is too intense with the hip opening, you can do it the way we started. Or child's pose, of course, is always a great option. So I haven't forgot about you, hopefully. Hopefully I just gave you a few things to think about as your hips are melting here. If possible, let's say for 3 more deep breaths together, just like we did on the other side. A long, slow inhale. On your exhale, let go a little more. Allow your body to be heavy. Inhale. Exhale. One more time. Beautiful. Before you move, engage your abdominal muscles. So use the strength of your core to come up slowly. And then slowly transition out of this, straightening your legs eventually in front of you and just kind of shaking them out a little bit. Really nice. We're going to head down on the mat, lying down. But before we do, let's do a quick neck stretch. So find a seated position that's comfortable for you. Find strong posture. Walk your fingertips out as far as you can. Then drop your left ear to your left shoulder. Inhale here. Exhale, half circle around, right ear to your right shoulder. Inhale. Exhale, half circle around. Inhale, stay. Exhale, move. Keep moving with the rhythm of your own breath, keeping your posture strong. Fingertips sweep the mat. And then once you've evened your sides out, instead of bringing your ear to your shoulder, bring your chin to your shoulder. So chin to your left shoulder. Inhale here. Exhale, half circle around, chin to your right shoulder. Hold. Circle. Inhale, hold. Exhale, circle. Even your sides out. Then drop your chin to your chest. Take a breath. Nice. Bend both knees. This helps protect your lower back. Roll to your shoulder and then all the way to your back. Bring your feet wide. Let your knees tent in. This is a really healing and soothing position for your lower back. We are making our way to our final resting pose, Shavasana. But before we do, let's do a twist, the standard supine twist here. So when you're ready for that, bring your arms into a cactus position on the ground. Cross your right leg over your left. Take an inhale to prep. And then on your next exhale, drop your knees to the left. And we have a tendency in twisting positions, just as humans, to tense up. We have a tendency to do that a lot in lots of life situations, don't we? So my point is, use your twisting posture as a practice to let go. So peace is a practice. It's a cultivation. It's not something in our world that happens without it being practiced, like the skill of practicing a piano. Okay. So use postures. You can use postures in yoga, as we're doing right now, to practice the release that's needed to feel a bit more peaceful. So notice in this posture how you want to tense up. Your body kind of wants to protect you. And then just tap to yourself. Say, okay, I can let the ground support me. I'm still safe. You could even, if you don't feel safe totally letting go, maybe you could put a pillow here so you feel a bit safer in the act of letting the ground support you. Relax your face and your jaw. Look both ways with your head. Notice if there's a particular position tonight that feels good. If so, hold in that position. Breathe deeply. And for the final few breaths here, just see if there's some of that hidden tension. Like you did let go, but now you're still just hanging on a little bit. See if you can let go a little bit more. Letting yourself be heavy and allowing the ground to support you. Really nice. belly button to your spine. Inhale, slowly bring your knees up. Switch the crossing of your leg, left leg over your right. Inhale to prep. Exhale, knees to the right. Left shoulder stays down. Here we go. Another opportunity to practice letting go of tension. Might feel very similar on the side, or it might feel very different. Use your breath to help you. So on each exhale, release. Allow yourself to be supported. Now that I say that, I think that's really good advice for all of us, or it's a really good practice for all of us in these, well, anytime, but certainly in these upcoming weeks. The practice of allowing ourselves to be supported. Asking for help, asking for support, is that something that is valued highly in our kind of self-driven, independent, obsessed society? But the reality is we're not independent. We're all interdependent, as this pandemic is showing us. And so the more we can acknowledge that and use that for good, instead of it having just been thrown in our face in this negative way, the more I think it just benefits all, right? And so one way of doing that, of acknowledging this interdependence in a positive way, is noticing when you need support and reaching out for that, allowing yourself to be supported. And here in this physical posture, we get to practice that, right? We're letting the ground support us. Even though our muscles want to tense up and we don't know if we can let our body go in this position, we're practicing releasing, and allowing the support that's available for us. Beautiful. On your next inhale, bring your knees up slowly. Once again, plant your feet wide, let your knees tent in. Might feel good to put one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly. Could feel good to put both hands on your belly, both hands on your heart. Maybe just dropping your arms so your side feels best. We're going to make our way into Shavasana now, our final resting pose. I really want you to get comfy here. So if you want to grab your pillow or your blanket, maybe your pillow goes under your knees and you cover yourself with your blanket. Maybe your pillow goes behind your head or your blanket goes behind your head. Just take a few moments to get comfortable. You might find that this leg position is really what you need today. So keeping your legs like this, that's totally fine. Of course, you always have the option of dropping your feet mat width apart and letting your pinky toes fall towards the ground. That's a great Shavasana position as well. So take a few moments to get comfortable. As you do that, I'm actually going to come to a seated position, so don't follow me. I just have a few things I'd love to eventually read to you in Shavasana. So I'm going to get myself set up here as you get yourself set up in your final resting pose. So once you find the position with your body and with your pillow and blanket that feels best, make sure, of course, your eyes are closed. Check in with your shoulders. They're probably going to want to creep to your ears. See if you can keep them pulled down. Check in with your face and your jaw. Allow that to relax. And once again, allow yourself to be supported by the ground. Let yourself be heavy. And you might find in this Shavasana position, you would prefer to really focus on deep breathing. If that feels best to you, go for it. You might find that you just want your breath to go back to normal and you don't really want to focus on it. That's fine too. You might find yourself crying, and that's great too. Let yourself do what you need to do here. This is a safe space right now, and of course, anytime you need to revisit this video to let yourself have feelings and to let yourself be messy and to feel what you need to feel physically in your body, but also feel what you need to feel emotionally. Always, always, always give yourself that permission on your mat. So as you're resting here, what's coming to mind, it's interesting, you're in Shavasana. So Shavasana, the English translation of that Sanskrit word is final resting pose. It is another way of saying it is death pose. And that is because in like a yogic practice, um, you practice yoga for transformation. I'll put it that way. And so in order to transform, versions of ourselves actually do have to die, metaphorically, of course. I'm thinking of a quote. It said it's something like, I can't remember who said it, but a snake must shed their skin in order to grow. And so I think that's really poignant right now as our entire world is being thrown upside down. Nothing that we maybe thought we could rely on is out of the grasp of this unknown. In other words, things we thought we could rely on for sure, everything is up in question right now. And so we're in this, whether we like it or not, we are deep and we are in the midst of transformation, collectively and personally. And there is certainly fear is understandable. And there's a lot of opportunity here. And by showing up today, showing yourself you can shed layers of worry. You can alchemize within the midst of this storm, and you can lie here a bit calmer and slightly transformed to a certain extent. It's such a beautiful depiction of your power and your choice. And I just want to take a second to honor that fully. And as you are lying here, allowing your body to rest and integrate, of course, physically, but then metaphorically, really in this very open, I'm willing to surrender position. I'm willing to transform. You are doing a great, great service to all of humanity. Because as I mentioned in my podcast, I believe that there is no greater service you can do right now than the practice of peace, personal cultivation of peace. Are all the other services extremely important? Absolutely. But if we're not also cultivating peace within our own minds, we can't show up for people in a truly kind, clear, helpful manner. And so giving yourself permission whenever you need to turn on this video or others, to take some breaths, to call a friend and ask for support, that's going to be huge in these upcoming weeks and beyond. So you're doing great work. You're doing better than you think. You are always doing better than you think. And along those lines, I mentioned the quote from Louise Hay, both in the podcast episode and today. This is just a thought, and thoughts can be changed. Not saying the virus is just a thought. I'm saying usually when we're in turmoil and we're physically safe and healthy, it's just a thought, and thoughts can be changed. Another thing that she often says is, because her practice is all about cultivating self-love. And she said her main ways of cultivating self-love is she didn't want to criticize herself, and she didn't want to scare herself. And I think those are two really important things to be aware of as we move forward from here. It might, because we're all trying to navigate how to handle this situation, and it's really easy as we're innovating and as we're fearful to criticize how we're doing that. And what if we noticed that and decided that wasn't a wise choice and we weren't going to continue that? We were going to catch ourselves when we were criticizing, and we were going to do something else. And we're also, as an act of self-love, and self-love building in us always overpours to others. So as an act of love, we can just say, we're also not going to scare ourselves in a way that's unneeded. Can we say informed? Absolutely. There's a difference between informed and scaring. And so here is your permission to move forward and without criticism. And when I say that, you're still going to notice it, but I guess it's just a permission slip. I do not need to criticize myself to move forward in powerful, helpful ways. And I don't need to scare myself. So each of us can look beyond fear and criticism to the place where there is more clarity, there is solution, and there is healing. Take a few deep breaths on that. And as you are taking those deep breaths, allow that to just kind of bring your awareness back to your body. You may want to wiggle your fingers and your toes a little bit. And eventually roll to your side. Use your arm as a pillow. Make sure your knees are bent so you're in like a fetal-like position. And rest there. And as you're resting there, I have a prayer to read. One I wrote a few years back that seems really relevant to today. It goes like this. That which never fails to trust well-being, guide me today. That which supports without requirements and gives without question, take the lead. That which sees from broader view and with the joyful lens, take my hand. The part of me that sees the part that's best in others, be my voice of reason. The subtle voice in the midst of my loud doubts that steeps of simplicity, confidence, compassion, and choice become dominant now. That which dominates no one and empowers all, be my guide. That which guides everyone back to everything they want, open my heart. My heart that's open be the channel through which I discern. That which discerns wisely for myself and judges not a single other soul, you're in charge. That which knows how to take charge of my own happiness while letting go of everything else, be my leader. That which leads others back to their own true power, take the reins. That which trusts the process of life and can confidently say, things are working out, speak boldly. That which speaks to uplift those who condemn, be my voice. The part of me that values peace and joy over being right, it's all you. The place in me where good ideas flow and fun is of utmost importance, be my highest truth. My highest truth, my kindest word, my most inspired action, be the essence I embody today and forevermore. And so it is. Amen. On your next inhale, push yourself up to any seated position that's comfortable for you. Bring your hands into heart center with strong posture. Reminding yourself of potentially the specific intention that you set at the beginning of our practice, or maybe the broader intention we all set of shedding layers of worry and cultivating peace. And before we finish this practice, I had one more prayer to share with you. So close your eyes. Let your heart be open, but your face be heavy. Or, excuse me, your shoulders be heavy. Your face is light. It goes like this. Beloved, may you fill me with the strength, courage, and wherewithal to kneel in gratitude for it all. The joys, the challenges, and the questioning. May my heart be open to see the grace in the unfolding. May my feet stay grounded in enduring trust. May life flow around me with ease and through me with passion. And may I be flooded with peace and presence. And may my good fortune overflow to others, creating a well of wealth within for all. And so it is. Amen. Take a deep breath. And we'll finish by having your hand on your heart and saying, may you have peace in your heart today. Hands to your lips. May you have peace in your words. And hands, the space between your eyebrows. May you have peace in your thoughts and actions. Namaste.